Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 97, The Sentinel. I am your host, Brent Stewart. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Derek.
And today we are talking about the Sentinel, a 40-ton scout that was first introduced as an exclusive machine to the Lyran Commonwealth.
You know, I never really thought of the Sentinel as a scout, but now that you mention it, yeah.
I never thought it was exclusive to the Lyran Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm. The story of the Sentinel is also the story of an interstellar political pissing contest. The Sentinel was designed by Defiance Industries, a majority owned by the Terran Hegemony company operating on Lyran soil at the time. The Sentinel was commissioned and built exclusively under contract for the Lyran Commonwealth. This understandably ruffled some feathers with the Terran political elite and industrialists as well. This was the era of the Mother Doctrine, after all. So while the 1S was not technologically superior to other designs in the SLDF, it was an exclusive design to the Lyrans, completely legally, and the contract was above reproach. So what was the political apparatus of the Terran Hegemony to do to resolve these hurt feelings? Well, during a League convention a year later, they amended the legal definitions using a subsection of the House Military Formation and Expansion Bill to allow Defiance to build the 3L to sell to the SLDF. This naturally made the Steiners feel that they had been cheated as they found a way to secure a unique design legally, and out of spite, the rules were changed to put them in their place, in air quotes. And the fact that the upgraded version and the upgrade kits took a obviously extended amount of time to be distributed to the LCAF was a obvious snub by the Terran Hegemony influence on Defiance. The Sentinel would see several downgrades to help it survive the Succession War. This, ironically, would be the enduring laughter of the Steiners getting the final win over the Terran Hegemony. As the Star League fell, Defiance would become a Lyran Commonwealth manufacturer. These downgrades were seen sporadically as the LCAF shifted to the heavy machine doctrine during the Succession Wars. The Draconis Combine Mustard Soldiery would receive new and different Sentinels from the deal with the Comstar for the War of 3039. While not comparable to the Star League era machines, they were superior to the homegrown downgrades. Now, once we have had the tech level rise after the clan invasion, we start to see some truly interesting designs that show what this machine can do. We also see it being sold in lots and stripped, particularly the 6S. This is mainly for the 240XL clan engine that is highly sought after and used in riflemen and awesomes. While we have not seen any standard retrofit for this variant after being stripped, it would not surprise me to see one in the following years.
Poor Sentinel. Just bought for its engine. They don't even like it for its body.
It's all about what's on the inside, after all, right?
Yeah.
So the Sentinel has the design quirks of improved communication, ammunition feed problems SRM2, and it has no torso twist in the 3rd edition, but in the 5th edition printing of the mech manual, that has been excluded. And I believe that is because, well, if you look at the most recent Kickstarter art, it clearly has a waist, so it can clearly torso twist, and the original art, it can have a waist, like it doesn't look like it has a no torso twist build.
Yeah, it has hips.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's got hips that don't lie.
Well, they might lie to you.
Yeah, they probably lie.
They are Lyran produced hips. They probably do lie to you.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yes. Well, ask the wolves. I'm sure they'd agree that the Lyrans are not to be trusted.
Mm-hmm.
Ask the Davions.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people if you ask them.
True story. So our first model is the STN-1S, seen in 2651, and this guy has a movement profile of 6'9". It's got a small laser in the right torso, an SRM-4 in the right torso, and an AC-2 in the left arm. It has 12 single heat sinks and standard everything else. It's got 1 ton of ammo in the left torso for that AC-2, so that's 45 shots, which will last you pretty much every game, and then it's got 1 ton of ammo in the SRM-4 in the right torso.
Yeah, it's a little dinky, but I mean, there's not much you could do at that time frame, especially if you're not the Terran hegemony, to make it not dinky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why the 12 heat sinks, though.
Reasons. The heat seat manufacturers lobbied for it. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is the military industrial complex we're talking about here. Let's add heat sinks onto something that doesn't need heat sinks.
This is also specifically the not good one,
Yeah.
Yeah. What's letting it down is that AC2.
Mm-hmm.
You could put almost any weapon there instead of the AC2 and it would do better.
Yeah, the AC2 really doesn't shine until you get into like specialty ammos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You could put lasers on here. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Take that AC2 and that ammo off, and you could put some lasers and make those 12 heat sinks actually, worthwhile.
Do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, these are just designed to be deployed to magma worlds.
I figure these things are getting dumped off on like secondary units, like your reserve units and stuff, or your local provincial units are getting like, here's your new scout mech thing. Yeah. Have fun. It is significantly undergunned for a 40-ton mech.
Yeah.
Like massively undergunned.
The AC2 could be used for dealing with soft-skinned vehicles, like stuff like, regular trucks and that kind of stuff. Act as kind of like a supply raider from afar, but dedicating a 40-ton mech to that is kind of a lot.
Yeah, even in this era, there's lighter mechs that they have access to that are better.
The Locust.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that one. It's an example. But, I don't know. I'm looking at this and it's like, this is literally something that you hand to reserve units and just be like, here's a militia mech, buddy. Mm-hmm. You're not going to do much with it, but,
Go blow up some Toyota Hiluxes with it.
Pretty much.
It's definitely not a raiding mech because its left arm is just barrel.
Yeah.
Hey man, that's the best kind of barrel. Or arm.
Like, it looks good, don't get me wrong, but it is not something that you can go raiding and run off with stuff with.
Well, yeah, it's the sort of raiding where you go and you blow up stuff and you don't take it with you.
Yeah.
Or you stick around and take the factory.
Yeah. Denying stuff to the enemy is just as good as taking it. Just usually you don't get as much.
Yeah. Again, I'll stick with what I was thinking on this. Is it's a cheap militia mech.
Mm-hmm. Well, this Lyran only variant has a battle value of 632 and a point value of 19, and it is followed up a year later with the 3L, which is the hegemony design, not the Lyrans or the Liao or Capellans. So nomenclature, blah.
Ain't nobody got time for nomenclature.
So this guy's seen in 2652, and he's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got that small laser in the right torso, a Streak SRM-2 in the right torso, and then a Ultra AC-5 in the left arm. It's got that 1 ton of ammo in the left torso, 1 ton of ammo in the right torso, both the Ultra AC-5 and the Streak respectively. And yeah, single heat sinks, no special tech. It's just the more standard Star League era version. So not the super cool stuff, but the better stuff.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the Ultra AC-5 was especially developed for the Sentinel.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to pack something to replace that AC-2 on this thing that has 10 damage, you needed something like the Ultra 5.
Yeah.
This guy also has 10 heat sinks, so I loses those 2 heat sinks to help make that AC-2 into an Ultra AC-5.
Yeah.
Totally
Oh,
worth.
definitely.
You've multiplied your potential autocannon damage output by 5.
Yeah. You've solved a lot of the problems that, like I was pointing out before.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an undergunned 40-tonner. This is fairly, it's
well
fairly competitive.
Well gunned.
Yeah.
This is what you expect to see.
Yeah, this is more of what I expect to see. Leave it to the SLDF to design fine mech designs.
Yeah.
But yeah, taking this thing out, I'd be more inclined to call this somewhat of a trooper mech at this point. Maybe still on the cheaper end, I'd guess. But overall, that Ultra 5 is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You lose a little bit of range, but the damage well compensates for that. And 20 at long is still quite good, especially given the era that it is in, because the Star League, it has pretty good long range stuff and sensors, but it's still not insanely good. Like there is some stuff that we haven't yet recovered, but there's a lot of stuff that we've also surpassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not having like clan ER large lasers running around, or clan ER PPCs or that kind of stuff running around.
Yeah, so 20 is very respectable.
Yeah, I'm just saying for this era, it's a pretty solid mech. I mean, especially if you've run into the 1S before and you're just like, oh, underground dinky Sentinel, you run into this thing and you're just like, it's a 1S, or it's a slightly different 1S. You're just like, huh.
Turns to camera, I've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah, and then you realize, then the Ultra 5 fires at you and you're just like, oh no.
Yeah.
I have made terrible life decisions.
And then aesthetically, I mean, the only thing that would be really different, the catch your eye, would be the gun barrel. Because the SRM2 is replaced by Streak SRM2, so minus some extra electronics, it looks relatively the same.
Well, no, it's a 4 to a 2 with Streaks.
Yeah, never mind that.
Yeah, but that's still a subtle difference. No, absolutely. Like you gotta be paying attention and have your computer up to date and have a good read on something.
Yeah.
So the 3L has a battle value of 717 and a point value of 23. We then come to the 3LB, the Royal version, seen in 2715. It's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got a medium laser in the right torso, a small laser in the right torso, and then a Gauss rifle in the left arm.
Love it.
It's got 10 single heat sinks. It's got ferro. It's got endo steel. It's got an XL engine. It has 2 tons of ammo for the Gauss rifle. And this thing is awesome. It's really, real good. I mean, it could theoretically get double heat sinks, but it doesn't need it. Like, it's maxing out at 7 heat.
Yeah, especially with the Royal regiments. They have so many other mechs that need double heat sinks that, why put them in this?
Love it.
Yeah, like the endo steel, the ferro, the Gauss rifle, those are very good upgrades. The XL engine is a trade-off, of course. It's real good.
You also get a Gauss rifle.
Yeah, you're getting a Gauss.
I'm never going to complain about a Gauss rifle. I love Gauss rifles.
Until it explodes and liquefies your pilot. Then you might.
Single tear rolls down my cheek. Rack him again, boys.
Grab the next one.
Get a new pilot. We've run out of pilot ammunition in this one. We need a new pilot.
I got a new present. A fresh character sheet.
The biggest shame for the 3LB is the fact that it disappears after the fall of the Star League. It never re-enters service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume that like Comstar had a couple of them, kicking around, but it never re-enters production, and so essentially disappears.
Yeah, that is a
after
variant, so more than likely it got probably savaged during, the Amerisco.
Especially being a 40-ton mech, they are not especially survivable, even with almost full armor.
Yeah. I will say for this, it's like this is your sniper version. This is one that I would take out to ambush convoys and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Any convoy escort, like light armored vehicle or like medium tank, like your Ultra 5 is I don't know, not gonna deal with them very well. I mean, it'll still be, it still packs a punch, but you're still not gonna punch through the armor on like a medium tank. But with this, you're firing a Gauss rifle at a medium tank.
See the first action scene from Iron Man.
Pretty much.
So this guy is real good, and it's a little dangerous because, if that Gauss rifle goes up, then the XL engine is probably going to go as well, and so a little more fragile, but definitely interesting.
Fragile.
6'9", solid for 40 tons, so yeah.
Price I'm willing to pay.
Yeah. This guy's got a battle value of 1260 and a point value of 26, so definitely a jump up in the battle value, less so in the point value, but different systems.
Yeah.
Next, we have the 3K, seen in 2830. It's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got that small laser and SRM2 in the right torso, and then it has an AC5 in the left arm. It's got 2 tons of ammo for the AC5, 1 ton of ammo for the SRM, both in the left torso and right torso, as is tradition. It's got 10 single heat sinks. So nice to see it kept the AC5, but, losing the streak, which makes sense. Yeah, it's a respectable downgrade. Shrugs.
Yeah. I mean, it did end up winning out by getting more armor than the 3L, so that's good.
I mean, it's a downgraded 3L, but
Yeah.
I mean, with the loss of some of that more advanced stuff and the weight of it, it definitely allows for somebody to slap on more armor.
I mean, it's still better than a 1S.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a lot of just like, hey, we can't make some of this stuff anymore. And, you know,
Yeah.
with that extra weight, they're like, let's slap on some more armor plates and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely wish that they, instead of adding an extra ton of AC5 ammo, they put like a medium laser on this or
Yeah.
upgraded the SRM. I tend to not like it when there's only 3 weapons. This is coming from the guy who likes Hunchbacks, which only usually have like 4 weapons. But when 2 of your weapons are like 2 damage and then one of them's 5, you want more.
Yeah, no, this one feels a little undergunned. It's not as bad as the 1S, but it's still punching a little light. This one needs some more Ovaltine in its morning breakfast or whatever.
I think this is definitely a respectable scout mech, though. Like, you know, you could pick on things.
Yeah, and also this is like deep Succession Wars era when there's no tech. Like this is a fresh design when people were not generally making new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it can go pick on things with the AC5. It has enough speed to stay away from things that are scary. It does its job.
Yeah.
It do things.
So it's got a battle value of 652 and a point value of 19. We then come to the 3KA, seen in the same year, 2830. It's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got a small laser and an SRM-2 in the right torso. And then it has a large laser in the left arm. It's got 13 single heat sinks. It's got 1 ton of ammo in the right torso. Yeah, this is real good because it increases the damage. You lose a little bit of range, but it is better than the other one. It's also perfectly heat neutral. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost wish that they would have ditched the SRM-2 for another laser of some sort, just so you wouldn't have any ammo, but, you know.
yeah,
SRM-2 ammo is pretty easy to find. Worst comes to worst, if you're deep rating, you just steal some.
Yeah, I mean,
theoretically, you could also switch it out for Inferno and just become awful.
Yeah, but those Infernos explode in your in your mech. It's gonna be a short and fiery doom.
True.
Yeah.
But I think overall, it's endurance-wise, it definitely has that over the previous variants, where you know it's got its main armament is essentially a large laser with 2 secondary armaments of an SRM-2 and a small laser. So like you run out of SRM-2 ammo, like you still have a decent amount of firepower for what you are.
And you're only going to run out of SRM ammo if you're doing a campaign. Like,
Yeah,
real
I mean,
talk.
true. Like you're talking 50 shots, so you're very unlikely to run out of ammo in an engagement. But even still, like it's got the endurance to survive, which is really nice with the fact that it can just keep fighting. Because I'm out of SRM-2 ammo. Oh no, I'm just gonna use my large laser like I have been.
Yeah.
Woe is me.
Oh, darn.
Whereas the other ones, it's like, well, I'm out of AC5 ammo. I'm out of SRM ammo. I have a small laser.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And if it were HBS Battletech, they'd run up and kick you.
Yeah, that's true.
And the nice thing is that even if the ammo goes up, you're probably not going to lose your large laser unless you're really hurting. You know, you'll lose that whole side of your mech and probably have a lot of internal damage in your center torso, but you might survive and you'll still be semi-dangerous.
That's the important part.
It could walk away, theoretically.
Hopefully run away.
Yes.
Run away.
So this guy's got a battle value of 847 and a point value of 21. And it is followed up with the 3KB, also in 2830. So this 3-pack in 1 year. It's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got a small laser and SRM-2 in the right torso. And then a PPC in the left arm. It's got 13 single heat sinks and 1 ton of ammo, just like its brother in the right torso. So, you gain a little bit of range and a little bit of heat and a little bit of damage.
Very Cretan.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Ka better.
I mean, I think the The KB is actually quite good because, I mean, you're not generally going to actually be using that small laser. So, you are using your heat sinks a little bit more efficiently. And if you take a turn off with the SRM2, you can feather that heat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ironically enough, looking at the faction availability on this thing, Chandler, it's actually a Lyran version.
Oh, of course. Good job. Good job,
version.
Lyrans.
Yeah, because this is the 2830.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like putting a PPC on there. Damage wise, it makes it fairly respectable. The heat, like you said, Brent, I think you just got to feather it and just got to manage it fairly well. But even then, like it's not like some of the mechs we've talked about where like you need a very veteran pilot to feather that heat and use it properly. With this, I think it's fairly easy to manage. It's just don't go overboard with your SRM2s and don't fire your small laser unless you really, really need to fire the small laser kind of thing. But after that, it's like, you're generally going to be fine. More than likely, you're going to probably just be constantly pulling the trigger on the PPC because most things are going to be in range of that. Your small laser generally not so much, especially if they get too close to you.
I mean, you do have a minimum because it is a just PPC.
Yeah.
But it's 3 and you have a movement of 6-9. You should not be outmaneuvered completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's got a battle value of 823 and a point value of 23. So next up we have the Cretan model, because you jumped the gun a little bit there, Chandler.
That's what I'm here
Seen
for.
in 3055. It's the 3M, and it's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got a SRM2 and a medium laser in the right torso. Bit of a switch up. It's got an Ultra AC5 in the left arm. It's got 1 ton of ammo in the left torso. 1 ton of ammo in the right torso for the Ultra AC5 and SRM respectively. It's got standard equipment. It's got 10 single heat sinks. I mean, this is also one that is heat neutral or oversynced, and it's real good. The Ultra AC5 helps that damage profile. We got that medium laser that we've kind of been wanting. It's a little lighter on the armor, but
Don't worry, guys. It's M for Operation Rosebud. Yeah, I like that fact that it has a medium laser instead of the small laser.
Yeah, it's a nice design change with that. It gives you a little bit more flexibility with the weapons, and you're kind of returning to those SLDF roots. The Combine went and I think improved on it in a lot of ways.
I mean, technically it's a Comstar because they gifted it to the Combine, but semantics.
Potato.
Well, this is a good while after that time period.
Oh no, this is directly from
55.
Operation Rosebud.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 35. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Good old War of 3039. Nothing bad happened then.
Actually, not much happened during the war.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a stale grinder.
A lot of
Pretty much.
posturing.
A lot of
Should have
saber
been-
rattling.
What should have been a
Yes.
glorious Davion victory was robbed from us
Happens.
by a telephone company.
Hey man, gotta pay your bills.
So the 3M's got a battle value of 758 and a point value of 23. We then jump forward to 3063 with the 4D, the first Davion model, seen in 3069. It's got a ER medium laser in the right torso, and then a rotary AC5 in the left arm. It's got 2 tons of ammo in the left torso for that Rack 5, protected by case. It's got endo steel and ferro, standard engine, 10 double heat sinks. So, this is a bit oversynced because it'll go up to 12 heat if 13 heat if you do 6 shots with the Rack 5 and run and shoot your ER medium laser. But, friends don't let friends shoot their rotary at 6.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
The rotary 5 fits really well at 40-ton mechs.
Mm-hmm.
It does so well in 40-ton mechs.
Yeah, this is a good use of a Rack 5, I think.
And it's the first one that has case.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, case.
Like, even the SLDF and Royal variant did not have case. So, I like the fact they also were able to keep the standard engine in this, which...
Yes, makes it
is
very survivable.
Very nice and survivable, yeah. Because it's literally, you lose that rotary 5 or something gets blown off, like, you're not going to just explode.
Yeah, you're not happy, but you're not,
Dead.
you're
not
able to
dead.
get off the field. Like, getting a machine off the field, like, these things are millions of C-bills. Getting it limped off the field is always preferable to having to secure it through salvage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like the ER medium laser as well.
Yeah.
It's a nice touch. Like, even if your ammo goes off and you lose that whole side, like, you can, still fight your way out with the ER medium instead of having to try to figure it out with some, like, ER small laser.
I do like that this one has a bunch more armor. Like, this is definitely a little heavier.
Yeah,
Feels maybe more like a scout in force.
Yeah, it's definitely well suited for Federated Sun's military tactics of cavalry lances. It's definitely a fire support platform for a light to medium cavalry lance.
Yeah, like I could see a lance of these being, part of a company that needs to like apply pressure along the front somewhere, and just having them kind of move around and poke.
Yeah, either that or being used as suppression.
Yeah, and it could also be used as something to chase off, like light mechs from heavier lances.
Yeah.
You got your, Davion heavy guard, assault lance coming in to just slam something, and you have some 4D sentinels running around and keeping away the pesky panthers and, wolf traps and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it will generally scare light mechs, especially when you bring that rotary 5 to bear on them.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I want none of this.
Yeah. Run away fast, run away fast, run fast.
All you hear is some panther pilot yelling, bad touch, bad touch.
Allergic to lead, allergic to lead, allergic to lead. So the 4Ds got a battle value of 1179 and a point value of 24, and I think it is real good. And, with a good almost 30 years between the previous version, it got some spiffy tech to play with, and so, it shows that it is real good. So next up, we have the C, seen 2 years later in 3065. So that is the STN-C. So it's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got a C3 slave in the center torso, an SRM-2 in the right torso, an Ultra AC-5 in the left arm, 10 single heat sinks, no weight savings, just a C3 single ton of ammo in the left torso for the Ultra AC-5, single ton of ammo for the SRM in the right torso for the SRM-2. Yeah, low cost entry C3, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those Cretan models that, it is Cretan.
Yeah, it's Cretan.
That they just took something and slapped C3 into it because they had them. I mean, they literally took the 3M and just gave it C3.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Chandler, is they basically just took the 3M and were like, looked at the C3 module sitting on the floor, looked at the Sentinel, looked back at the C3 module, and were like, let's plug that in there. And pull out the small laser, slap that in its place, and there you go.
There you go, yeah.
I'd like it a lot more if they got rid of the SRM instead, but because I really don't like that it only has the Ultra 5 and the SRM2.
Yeah, I mean, it does definitely put an endurance limit on it where it doesn't have, the lasers to back it up.
Like
just
two medium lasers instead of the
time.
SRM2 and the ammo, I think would be real good.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. But overall, though, I mean, that C3, though.
Oh yeah, it's a nice touch.
This is more designed to get the data than use the data.
Even if it's the one using the data, it's going to use it pretty effectively with that Ultra 5.
Yeah.
That Ultra 5 is going to love that data.
That's true.
So, I mean, I think overall, it definitely, the C3 definitely gives it more tactical flexibility. Being in that lance, it's not like some mechs where it's like, hey, just go get me data and just try not to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not really
It could do either or.
This one has the versatility of being able to do both, so I think that gives it more points for me, looking at it. It's a little light on the armor side.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, like it has a nice role that it can play because it can.
No, you're definitely right. I think I undervalued the C3 with the Ultra AC-5 and like that. No, you're like shaving off that range is going to be quite good.
Yeah, I mean, especially with an Ultra when you're firing it, and I forget what the mode is actually called, but basically firing it burst fire
in plus Ultra mode.
Yeah, you're firing it in plus Ultra mode. Yeah, especially when you're getting targeting data, that's gonna make you even more deadly. So, especially against light mechs or vehicles or just any other mech in general. I'm not looking forward to getting hit by an Ultra 5 that's getting targeting data.
Yeah, which is funny because it's got a battle value of 689 and a point value of 21, so relatively on the low end. Not the lowest, but low end.
I mean, compare that to the 4D that we just did. It's almost half the battle value.
Yeah, and it's a C3 slave. Like,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So we then have that followed up 5 years later with the 5WB in 3070. And of course, this is the Word of Blake model. Boo hiss.
Praise
Praise
be.
Blake.
His blessings to you, brothers.
It's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got a ER medium laser in the center torso, an ER medium laser in the right torso, an ER medium laser in the left torso, and 2 light autocannon 5s in the left arm. It's got 10 double heat sinks, a single ton of light AC5 ammo with case in the left torso. Yeah, I wish we had more than 1 ton to play with. It's got a light engine, which is good weight savings, inner sphere. So yeah, I
like it a lot.
I don't know. It feels like it's somehow like it did a really good routine, but didn't stick the landing.
Oh, I mean, I think it stuck the landing, but I also don't tend to use specialty ammos a ton, so only having 1 ton there doesn't bother me as much. Like the point of this is the 3 ER mediums. The light AC5s are there for long range support. Well, long range in air quotes because they're still light AC5s, but
yeah, fair. I mean, it is quite well synced as well, so
The light AC5 is just, it's frosting. Everything else is cake.
yeah.
I like the fact that it has 3 medium lasers. It has that light engine. You're not dealing with an XL. You've got 10 double heat sinks on it. You're a little... actually, the armor's actually better on this than it is on the last variant we just looked at.
It is slightly above average.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I see this as a design, upgrade and win. I mean, it's a pretty solid Sentinel.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, maybe lose an light AC5 for a standard engine,
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but at the same time, with what you're able to do with this, especially with those 2 light ACs, I mean, yeah, I know it is 1 ton of ammo, but if you can do a half and half with some specialty ammo and regular ammo, yeah, it's only 10 shots a piece, but
still spicy.
Yeah, it's still spicy, and you're using 2 light AC5s, so you're able to you have a lot more flexibility. And on top of that, I have to agree with Chandler, I don't think the light AC5s are the main event. I think it's the 3 ERs. Those are just, icing on the cake.
Fair. I mean, it does have a way better damage profile than most of the other ones.
Yeah.
And you have a better armor profile as well than most of the other ones, too.
Yeah.
It's kind of the best of both worlds.
Maybe I'm just letting my bias against the Word, hold me up here on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this thing does the most damage out of all of the variants we've seen so far with the 25, assuming everything hits.
Yes.
But if it does hit, it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this does not survive the Jihad. As soon as the Jihad ends, this thing disappears.
Praise Blake.
Which is a shame because it's a fun design and it doesn't have C3 eyes, so you could totally just slot this in.
Yeah, this one requires no retrofit.
It's even produced on Hesperus too, I think, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So it's got a battle value of 999 and a point value of 24. And it's the last one with the classic art. The kind of poddish arms sticking out and legs, It kind of goofy and adorable.
But we still love it.
Oh, yeah.
I like how the 3025 revised art almost makes it look like a Turkina. Kind of.
A little bit.
The center torso is almost a UFO. It tries. It's a little mini-me. But have no fear, we have the better art now.
It also kind of looks like a Talos or a Talon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am curious of what that little tiny oval is on its left-hand side, the side with the autocannon. That's just kind of there.
Yeah, probably like a sensors or something like that. But it is followed up by the new art, which is so good. It looks so bulky and industrial, and I love it. It looks really, really good. The 6S seen in 3135. This is the one with that Clan XL engine in it. So it's got a movement profile of 6'9". It's got an Ultra AC5 inner sphere in the left arm, because it is a mixed tech level. It's got an ER medium laser in the right torso, Clan, and then 2 Thunderbolt 5s in the right torso. It's got 10 double heat sinks, endo steel, an XL engine, an XL gyro, 1 ton of ammo in the left torso for the Ultra AC-5 protected by case, 2 tons of ammo in the right torso protected by case 2. Sorry, it's case 2 in both the left torso and the right torso. So yeah, you got a lot of Thunderbolt 5s to throw out there.
Yep. You got 12 rounds total if you're firing both of them.
Yeah.
I think this is actually, usually I'm not a big fan of Thunderbolts. I think they actually kind of work on this one.
Yeah.
This feels like a weird sort of like mobile artillery mech, sort of, almost.
Kind of. The Thunderbolt 5, I think, is the most usable of the Thunderbolts. I mean, it's essentially a good light PPC. It weighs the same tonnage as a light PPC, but it also only generates 3 heat as opposed to, 7 or whatever it is for light PPC? 5?
5, I believe.
So.
Yeah, I like it, especially with the fact that, ammo-wise, it is packing a ton of ammo.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a good position. Plus, for the most part, depending on how you're engaging, if you're at at range, you're probably using those Thunderbolts and kind of conserving your Ultra. So it's basically, you can just poke away with your Thunderbolts until it's time to get close and get to work with the Ultra 5 and the ER laser. So, it's got the ability to engage in multiple range brackets, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is quite strong, but definitely wants to keep it range.
And the armor on it's pretty decent again. So
yeah,
I will say that, especially with the essentially what amounts to an add in firepower, like a significant add in firepower compared to many of the previous variants.
It's well synced as well.
Yeah. So overall, I think this is kind of I don't know if I want to say pinnacle, but pretty darn near close to pinnacle of the Sentinel design.
We'll call it a new high watermark, or a very good design branch, because the Thunderbolt 5s definitely kind of change up the design profile from the SRM2s that it has had before.
Yeah, yeah, we can go with that. I'm good with that.
Because I think there's a C3 version out there that just needs to get canonized or be made or whatever, that would be very, very good in the 3150s.
Yeah, something like a C3B.
Yeah.
I do think the XL gyro is a little worrisome, but at the same time, if you're going to be throwing this amount of firepower on something, you need to save weight wherever you can, and that is pretty much the only place it can save weight at this point, other than putting on ferrofibrous, which I don't think it has the room. Well, it does have the room for, but
you could save a case too by transferring one of the tons of ammo over to the other torso.
Yeah, so that gets you a ton, which is not insignificant.
Theoretically, you could also drop a ton of Thunderbolt, because...
Yeah, you'd just be very short-lived in the battle space.
Yeah.
You drop one of those case 2s, you could add an extra ER medium.
Yeah.
So it's got design flexibility that could be used on it.
Yeah.
And this is also the model that we'll probably see a retrofit something, because this engine gets ripped out for other machines.
Yeah. They probably just put the XL fusion from whatever they're putting the XL clan into.
Yeah. The question is, do we downgrade the weapons or do we downgrade the speed profile?
Well, you don't have to do either if you're just using the same rating of engine.
True.
As long as you're not going up or down in engine size, you should be fine. You just have a much more vulnerable inner sphere XL.
True. I can't remember if there's an actual tonnage difference or if it's just slots, though.
It's just slots.
Okay. I admittedly have not... The building rules are ones that I am not... I don't use them as often as I probably should, so they're a little rusty.
Don't feel bad, Brent. I do not understand them. I will pose a mech design question to people. And they're like, well, the building rules say this, this, and this. And I'm just like, uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but sure.
I believe you, because I can't say otherwise.
Yep, pretty much.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1,089 and a point value of 26. And he is, of course, the last model we have so far.
To date.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect a 6S2 to be rolling out at some point very shortly.
Yes.
Oh, I hope so.
Because it's a good little machine. It's got some personality, especially in its design, and with the right pilot and the right weapon layout or model, I think it can really really do some work. Like the 4D with a good pilot would just be, like hilarious to run around in with the campaign, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Run around in that sucker and just murder people.
I wonder what happens if you rip off the Thunderbolts, whether you could fit a standard engine in this.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it, and I pulled up the Alpha Strike card on Master Unit list. Like, 26 points for 232 is pretty nice. Like, really nice. 12-inch movement. Like,
very strong.
Yeah.
So with that, we go to our pilot profiles, and Chandler is going to start us off.
Yes. All right. So first off, we have Penelope Farheim, who pilots a captured Word of Blake Sentinel 5WB. She was originally a test pilot for Defiance Industries on Hesperus 2, of course, which during the Jihad fell to the Word of Blake, one of the few, and I believe only time, the planet actually fell to an invading force. She essentially went from test pilot to scout pilot, which is essentially a test pilot but for combat, and would scout for the Hesperan resistance, and would do so at the beginning in a stiletto. Of course, she would then use that stiletto to claim a Sentinel 5WB, which was the high water mark of her career. Unfortunately for her, due to the resistance form of the resistance, she has a lack of adequate munitions and spare parts for her Sentinel, and that is threatening to sideline her. Which, I mean, if you don't got the parts to fix it, you can't exactly be using it.
Yeah. So next up, we have Lieutenant Mackie Ozora. And Mackie is a veteran of many battles with the clans, specifically Clan Wolf. He was a member of the 4th Lyran Regulars, and was wounded in the line of duty during Operation Hammerfall. The 4th would be destroyed on Ford, while Mackie was receiving treatment at a specialized facility on another planet. He was then assigned to the 10th Lyran Regulars, only to once again battle the Wolves, this time on Tharkad. He was transferred to the 9th, when the 10th was disbanded and formed a lance with the other survivors from the 10th. Many in the 9th Regulars regard him as a bad omen, but members of the 10th and 12th who survived the fighting on Tharkad see him as a pilot who survived against the odds. Due to his lived experience, he is a vocal proponent of raids and military action against the clans. With his posting now being in the disputed Lyran territory as of 3151, I am sure he will see his hopes fulfilled in some fashion.
Yay.
And he's part of Wolfnet, so those of you who are Wolfnet folks.
Mm-hmm.
Good old second bat.
Yeah.
They hide.
Also, I did run the numbers now that we're done talking about Mackie. You can replace, if on the 6S, you rip out the engine and you take off the Thunderbolts, you have lots of tonnage left. You have 3.5 tons left of space.
Well, you could put, another half ton of armor and 3 more ER medium lasers? Clan? That doesn't seem too bad.
You could put so many lasers on this thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking doing another clan ER medium, bumping the armor almost all the way up. I'm not sure what to do with the last half ton. Probably just a
C3,
ER small laser.
C3.
That you need a full ton for that.
Take a little armor off.
No, armor saves you. A flamer. There we go. A flamer. That's what we need. A clan flamer.
Fire.
For all your anti-infantry needs. Who needs a machine gun when you have a flamer?
No, that's true. Josh's obsession with machine guns. Machine guns have ammunition, but flamethrowers, well.
Especially mech flamethrowers, because they pump right off the engine.
Yeah, you're literally, unleashing a sun on people.
Praise the sun.
Praise the sun.
And they have the same range as a standard machine gun. So, that's a lot of fire.
That's a lot of fire.
I mean, but also, this fictional thing and those real world weapons don't translate to the tabletop the way they should, But that the digression aside.
Also, flamethrowers can create cover for you by lighting woods on fire.
This is true.
Boom. It has many uses. Chad flamethrower, virgin machine gun.
What does that make the clan AP Gauss rifle then?
I mean,
fun.
Chad AP Gauss rifle, virgin machine gun, because machine gun, you can actually recover from getting hit by that. AP Gauss rifle,
that's 3 damage.
Get turned into a fine pink mist.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So speaking of slinging a lot of lead, we're going to throw over to our data dive with Derek for House Davion Part 8.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I return once more to talk about the history of the Federated Sons, where we left off last time. We left off last time with Simon Davion overcoming a highly publicized trial after, shooting his cousin 5 times.
I stabbed him 5 times.
On the floor of the High Council on New Avalon. And, I would like to take this moment to say that Tex said that, Stephen Amaris popping that young Cameron in the head was the beginning of how to do a coup in the BattleTech universe. I dare to disagree. No, it was Simon Davion that Stephen Amaris wanted to imitate, because this man pops his cousin, overcomes a trial, and then ends up in charge of a nation within 3 weeks.
Also very similar to the Cretan style, except Cretan style's more en masse.
Yeah, Cretan style's 10 years of civil war, and then we figure it out. Or a couple generations, actually, with the Von Roers. Anyway, so, basically, the only thing he was found guilty of was justifiable homicide, which is really funny. Anyway, moving forward, we move into a revolution. The Federated Sons is changing. With the self-serving and destructive reigns of Eaton Davion and his offspring put to an end, but the government and military were still crippled because of, their minions being in charge of the military. And government. So, with that, and the realization that, the administration of an interstellar nation that spans hundreds of worlds is quite difficult from one point, such as New Avalon, the Federated Sons had also become increasingly involved in the Age of War. Though seeing very few territorial gains or losses, it was just the strain of the economy of the military buildup that was just not having it, and the fact that also, the Twin Tyrants had appointed a bunch of their buddies to be in charge of military formations, and probably skimming pretty hard off the top there. So
also pre-HBG. Remember this, people.
Pre-HBG. Pre-HBG. Let's remember that. So anyway, basically moving forward is the Simon and the Federated Sons really hadn't gotten involved. They just tended to, if somebody attacked them, they tended to retaliate and then just go home, because they're like, we don't really want to we don't want to play your game, and we're going to go home and play our own game. So, with that all being said, at the onset of the 25th century, were some significant problems being faced by the Federated Sons, but as Simon Davion and those that followed him ultimately proved, they were not insurmountable. This is setting the stage for some great Davion leaders that were to come. Davion. So, with the government system of the Crucius Pact being determined to basically be inefficient and a dead in everything but name at this point, replaced over the years with a virtual monarchy with the, still keeping the title of president, but the president essentially being a hereditary thing, and, again, democracy in all but name. Let's call it what it is. The High Council, which was supposed to represent the will of the people, had lost what power it originally possessed when its nation grew so large that a massive centralized bureaucracy was required to simply run it, even proved inadequate to administer the needs of the entire Federated Sons. Again, pre-HBG, like you're dealing with hundreds of worlds. Simon's plans to revitalize his nation and his government were nothing short of a complete revolution of thinking. The elected president was removed from the equation, and the Federation split into 5 major principalities: the Terran, the Draconis, the Crucius, the Capellan, and Outer Marches, each further subdivided into duchies, margraves, counties, and baronies. A prince would have complete command of each march, with the leader of the Crucius march acting as the first among equals, the first prince to deal with nationwide issues. These princes appointed leaders of subordinate regions into a new class of titled individuals, formalizing the neo-feudal system that had been growing in fits and bounds since the time of the first families on New Avalon. So as you can tell, we are now starting to become the more modern Federated Sons, after, seeing how
air quotes on modern there.
You're seeing the foundation of the marches, which is one of the key things of the Federated Sons moving forward.
Neo-feudalism joke, right?
Yeah, true. some of these marches, as you'll see, may or may not still exist. We'll find out.
Oops.
Anyway.
One of them may have recently been reformed. Looks at Terran March.
Indeed. So, basically, in March of 2418, Simon officially became the first prince of the Federated Sons. About 6 months after taking over the government, he becomes the first prince. He kind of moved fast with his reforms. But he faced a great many challenges, requiring popular support at home for his reforms, support among the very people he was stripping of power, and the citizens who are now becoming vassals of a new class of interstellar royalty. Some remote worlds appreciated their virtual autonomy from New Avalon's central bureaucracy suddenly found themselves under direct control of leaders they didn't know or trust, while others that were accustomed to that leadership were stripped of power. So obviously, some growing pains.
I mean, people are always a little butthurt about the shakeup and the reorganization, especially the ones who have become, lazy and complacent.
True. I mean, especially for those remote worlds that are like, hey, we're part of the Federated Suns. We got the flag over there, but we're doing our own thing. All of a sudden now you've got, Baron Chandler showing up being like, I am here to exercise the will of the First Prince. And they're just like,
yeah. Your tributes on the launch pad go away.
Yeah.
Sorry, taxes.
But then they don't go away. And then they bring in... Then they bring in military troops, and you're just like, I don't like any of this. Anyway, moving forward.
I don't like the feeling about
this. Bad touch.
It was an uphill battle, to be sure. One that the new prince fought throughout his reign, but also one that uniquely suited this particular Davion scion. Like his great-grandfather, Lucian Davion, before him, Simon traveled throughout the nation, building support for his plan, reassuring his citizens that they indeed had a leader that wasn't power mad and psychotic. Though he was celebrated for ending Edward's reign of terror, it was years before the common folk trusted this Davion and his policies. Again, he not only had to basically change a government and strip people of power, but he was contending with the fact that, 3 of the last 4 leaders had been literally psychotic.
Yeah.
I hear that's great for people believing in their government.
Yeah, I know, right? Even while battling to win popular support for his new government within the Federated Suns, Simon found his nation the target of its neighbors, all attempting to take advantage of its weak, inexperienced new prince. The first was the Capellan Confederation, whose chancellor, Adrian Baxter, mistakenly hoped to gain territorial concessions in exchange for his official recognition of Simon as the first prince. Baxter sorely overestimated the Confederation's strength in the political arena, as well as his own importance. When the Davion ignored his demands and implied threats, Baxter responded with additional military attacks. He couldn't keep it up for long, however. Likewise, taking a hard-line stance with the Free Worlds League, Baxter found himself caught between 2 enemies stronger than he. And then he was assassinated in 2425. So,
oops.
His own citizens decided enough is enough and decided to replace him with a more moderate leader. So, that kind of solved the Capellan problem. Now we move to the Terran problem.
Yes.
The hegemony proved to be a more dangerous threat. The hegemony and Suns had both agreed several decades earlier to jointly terraform and develop several otherwise marginally habitable Fed Suns worlds.
The cohabitation programs.
Oh, yeah, Both nations had benefited from this policy, the Suns gaining better terraform technology, while both effectively adding half of a prosperous world to their nations without invasion or lengthy diplomatic struggle. Unfortunately, the dispute between the Federated Suns colonists and Terran hegemony terraforming technicians over oxygen production on the world of Cartogo in 2411 ultimately grew entirely out of control. The hegemony stepped in and took complete control over the world, ending the dispute but also forcing the Suns to respond in kind. The two powers struck back and forth at each other over the course of the next 2 decades, but Cartogo remained under hegemony control. By 2431, Director General Richard Cameron had enough of the constant battles for the world. Looking to send a message to the Federated Suns, he directed the hegemony armed forces to attack and capture the Terran March world of Kentaris. Quickly overwhelming the Suns' military forces, they took Kentaris after just 6 months of fighting. Worse still, the Terran March's prince, hoping or believing that he could handle the hegemony himself, did not seek aid from New Avalon, ensuring that the Terrans would keep control of Kentaris for centuries. But let it be known, side note for the future, the Federated Suns would get the last laugh on Kentaris. When it comes to our friends in the Terran hegemony, there's other things that happen on that planet.
Yeah, Kentaris has a history.
Kentaris just keeps coming up.
Yeah, I love how Kentaris gets mentioned so much throughout the lore, and not just for that main event, but for other things that happen too. Anyway, moving forward. So, we now enter the 4 Horsemen. Simon faced challenges unlike those of his predecessors had experienced from both within and without. But even combined, none of these rivaled the potential threat posed by the Terran hegemony after its development of Battlemechs. The first prototype underwent testing in 2439. After that, the hegemony secretly put them into mass production, unveiling them only in 2443. After that, the face of warfare changed forever. With this, as we know, the hegemony had established its preeminence on the battlefield for the next decade and a half, until the Lyrans ended up acquiring their own battlemechs, having stolen the plans from the Hesperus II factory in 2455. The first prince jumped at the opportunity, what he saw as a prime opportunity, as soon as he learned of the Lyran raid, dispatching a diplomatic entourage to Tharkad. The prince had hoped that decades of civil, if not outright friendly diplomatic relations, along with 2 shared enemies, would be enough to convince the Lyran Archon to share the secrets of battlemechs with his nation. It took almost a year, but the end of the first prince's arguments that the only way to be successful to oppose both the hegemony and the Combine was to provide battlemechs to the only nation that shared borders with both. That, along with the significant transfer of Federated Sons' monies to the Commonwealth, netted Prince Davion what he wanted, so that they could finish their own battlemech project, because they had one, but, having the schematics of the mech definitely helps accelerate the design and development process. Basically, as soon as they got this in 2455, the Sons just threw everything they could into battlemech production as quickly as possible to get as many as they could. Still, the hegemony having its advantage in numbers and training due to them kind of having at least a decade and a half of unopposed battlemech development and construction, kind of puts them massively ahead in the arms race. Worse still, it wasn't long before the rest of the Intersphere gained this groundbreaking technology, with the Combine getting it in 2461, while the Free Worlds League and Compelling Confederation both gained the technology in 2462. So basically, within that Federated Sons advantage against your 2 enemies essentially disappeared within 6 to 7 years, unlike with the hegemony, which was already a decade ahead by the time most people were getting their hands on it, getting their grubby little paws on all those beautiful battlemechs. Nevertheless, the acquisition of the battlemech was the crowning achievement of Simon's long and illustrious rule as first prince. He died in 2457, having led his nation for some 4 decades.
Which is a pretty good run, given the last couple rulers. I think a couple only lasted a decade or so. Yeah,
most Marie only lasted like 7 or 8 years. The Twin Tyrants, between the 2 of them, ruled for about 15, 16 years or something like that. So, for 40 solid years, you had Simon running the nation and doing a pretty bang-up job of it after, the last 4. Marie was decent, but, last 3 of the last 4 kind of definitely tried to run the nation into the ground.
Marie was good, but she had a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah, when you're dealing with your brother's 2 insane children and his insane widow, you kind of have a decent amount of problems. And your other brother, Peter, being, not really interested in being in charge.
Yeah.
That tends to not help.
And ending up in charge. Isn't that kind of thing? Anyway, moving forward, the Principality matures. Simon spent the last 4 decades of his life building his support for his radical reforms throughout his principality, and for years after his death, there were regular calls for rebellion against the first prince's reforms, and the new class of nobility created time and continued prosperity did much to break the opposition down, but throughout the rest of the century, there remained a nearly constant voice of dissent against the Davion Principality, which, ironically enough, came from the very people that he empowered, the neo-nobility. Still, the predominant feeling within the Federated Sons was that, these reforms are ultimately good for the nation, especially with the prosperity of, all of this. The fact that they had essentially rebuilt the Sons after, massive mismanagement and put them in a significantly better position. Further, the people of the Federated Sons, regardless of the excesses of some of its members, the Davion family was the only one that could lead the nation. Simon's eldest son, James Davion, was ratified first prince by the High Council following his father's death. During his 11 years as prince, he guided the Sun through the age of war, border disputes with the Compelling Confederation, Draconis Combine, and the hegemony. Bloodier and more savage than before, thanks to, battlemechs. At the same time, as the Inner Sphere continued to expand and new nations began to form in the periphery, the Outer Worlds Alliance forming in 2417, right as Simon took power, the corresponding increases in interstellar trade brought a massive economic boom to the Federated Sons. Yet James made one significant political misstep, one that would soon come back to haunt his nations. He appointed a man that would lead to terrible things to come. One might say, civil wars to come. He appointed Richard Varney, a popular political figure who is a distant relation to the infamous sadist of Smolensk, Governor General Emily Varney, to the dual posts of Chancellor of New Avalon and the Constable of the Crucius March. It wasn't long before Varney's ambitions came to the fore, and unfortunately, it took a national tragedy to reveal the worst of them. And at this point, we will end our data dive. What will come next? What will the Varneys do? How will the Davions save our glorious Federated Sons? You will see next time.
Somehow. They'll save it somehow.
They usually pull it out in the end. That's kind of their shtick.
Find out next week on Dragon Ball Davion.
I figured we'd stop there. I mean, I could have worked my way up to the Civil War, but I think that's a good end point.
No, you want to like have a good build up too. You can't just hop right into a civil war.
Yeah, I mean, the next one will get us up to the actual war and then go into the war. So
our sources for today are Sarna, BattleTech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO and Record Sheets Succession War, TRO and Record Sheets 3050 Upgrade, Historical Operation Klondike, Record Sheets Operation Klondike, and Ill-Clan Recognition Guide Volume 14.
My sources were the Davion Handbook, and I can't remember the actual story, but from the procurement cycle.
Yes.
But the Davion one, I don't remember it off the top of my head.
I don't know what it is.
Nothing Ventured.
Yep, Nothing Ventured, which is actually a really cool story.
It's a really good story. Yeah, I was going to say the political maneuvering for how the Federated Sons gets the tech they need for the Battlemechs is really cool.
Yeah, especially with the fact of how it's done in a, the Federated Sons comes across as them trying to buy it, being all friendly, while at the same time trying to literally just find a way to, win the negotiations, which was really cool of how that story is written. Is it's, it shows the various political layers of it. The two negotiators trying to get an advantage, the fact that the Lyrans are trying to basically put this really incompetent dude in front of, the Federated Sons ambassador to just kind of stonewall him, and he kind of works with what he's got to essentially get what the Federated Sons needs at the end of the day. So honestly, it's a really fun read.
The proliferation cycle in general is a very good read, and I highly recommend.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's a bit weird that the last couple are about Omnimechs, or well, no, not the last couple. The last one's about Omnimechs, but
Yeah, the last one was added like almost 10 years after the Spider Dances, which is the Capellan Confederation. So.
Where they do My Free Worlds League dirty, and the Capellans just kind of bluff their way through getting it.
I mean,
oops, all espionage.
They roll all the stealth checks with nat 20s.
Pretty much.
This podcast is made possible by our supporters on patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is at Origin of Mechs. We also have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends about us, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Our Ace Pilot Patreons are John Keith III, Metal Ed, and Stahlkater. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Stay safe out there.
New Avalon in the new year, my friends. New Avalon in the new year.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
Yeah, so I'll be going from 27, probably trying to get up to essentially the death of Simon Davion, which is like 3 pages in. He did a lot, by the way.
He was a busy
Simon.
boy.
Basically created the modern or helped lay the foundations for the modern Federated Sons.
'Tis true. All right.
Anywho,
I skipped the wrong line for some reason. Yeah, that's what editing's for.
I gotta read that one though. I actually haven't read Dish Served Cold.
It's quite good.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to do that.
I think they do the Free World League a little dirty, but there's also like very clearly just militia. Like there's one dude who knows what the is going on and is completely like trying to get the locals in line to be like, look, you idiots, I need you to do this.
Yeah, it's a symptom of the larger issues the Free World League's continuously had.
Do as you're told. Don't think about it. No.
But my province.
But my province. Shut up about your stupid province.
Literally every Free Rules League issue could be summed up if it's not involving a external power is but my province.
But my province. No, it's not about your province, but my province.
Not even
Fine.
talking about your province, but my province.
But how will this benefit my province? And you're just like,
It's benefiting your province by not benefiting your province.
yeah, this is benefiting your province by the fact that you won't be invaded because we actually have battlemechs.
Yeah.
But my province.
But my
Anyway.
province.
But my province.
Quote.
I love how
today.
this can all be solved with simply just saying, but my province. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
New Avalon in the new year, my friends. New Avalon in the new year.
It's taken on.
We'll get there eventually.
Dominion's divided.
Dominion's divided. It's coming.
One can dream.
One can dream.